Maybe.
At some point we will.
We are live.
Okay, everybody. Hey, it's Greg Harrelson here with Century 21, the Harrelson Group. Of course, with my partner and co-host Abe Safa, also with Century 21, the Harrelson Group. And here we are, Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV, wanting to share a little bit more about what's going on a weekly basis, in the Myrtle Beach real estate market. And today we're going to talk about the market in Myrtle Beach on the rebound. So before we get started, Abe, thanks again for joining me.
My pleasure, Greg. Looking forward to this.
Good. Okay. So I just now saw that the broadcast is live right now. I don't know if there was a little bit of delay, but that's okay. We are going to be discussing today is the housing market in Myrtle Beach on the rebound. So there's a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts to a real estate market, isn't there, Abe?
Always is. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so much going on. So let's talk about, why don't we start off with talking about mortgages today? Because I think that is kind of a catalyst for probably the discussion that we're going to have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's always the indicator of how many buyers are getting back in the market is, obviously when interest rates drop, we always see an influx of buyers.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen today's numbers yet. The source that I use, I guess because yesterday was a holiday, I don't have the most recent numbers, but the numbers as of Friday, the average 30-year mortgage national level, it was a 6.09. For
Wow.
a 30-year mortgage.
Yeah.
That's a significant drop. I mean, that's the lowest number we've had in 4 months.
Yeah.
As you're aware.
Yes.
I think we peaked back on October 20th at 7.37. So that's 1.25 points down from the peak.
Yeah.
So by all consensus right now, it looks like the mortgage rates have peaked and they're on their way down.
Yes.
Whether they'll continue to keep going down or whether they'll level off or whether they'll go back up a little bit and then back down, it's hard to predict that. But we're definitely, it looks like we've definitely peaked back in October 20th.
Yeah, and for those of you that are kind of loyal listeners to the Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV show that Abe and I do, you would have heard us say that we believe at some point in the next 6 months that interest rates were going to kind of come down under 6%. And it just seemed to be leaning towards that. Of course, we don't really know what's going to happen. That's more of a speculative opinion that we gave you. But I'd be darned if we're not getting close to there. And who knows? We may see that thing break that 6% barrier. Now, I think a 15-year mortgage, if somebody's willing to take a 15-year versus a 30-year, I think they can get to 5.27 on average. And then the FHA, right? If they're doing FHA, are they under 6% on FHA now?
It is. Last number was 5.65. Now, again, I want to be careful with this. This is a national average, and it takes into account all credit scores and all different lenders. Yes. I've talked to a couple lenders here locally, and some of them have done some 30-year mortgages below 6 right now.
Yes. Yeah.
So definitely you want to check with your local lender, whoever you work with, and see what the rate would be for you right now. But there's no question about it. They've come down significantly from October 20th.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I think what we want to do is just share with the audience kind of what this means. Okay. Mm-hmm. So here's what I see. What I see with this is I'm starting to see a few more showings on our listings. I'm starting to see a few more offers. Actually, a few properties have had multiple offers, mm-hmm. which we haven't had in a while. And I'm not saying that we're going to go back to that crazy time, but it's ironic that, and maybe it's not, maybe it's not a fluke, but it's interesting how activity seemed to kind of go up at the same time interest rates went down. Are you experiencing that in your own personal business?
No question about it. When you look at even some of the condo buildings or condo resorts that all of a sudden inventory went through the roof, like River Oaks, for example, a landmark resort. Now, if you look at River Oaks, half the condos in there went under contract.
Yes.
So things like that. We're seeing activity. Buyers are definitely getting back in the game. They're writing offers. The spring buyers are here. We can see them on our website, and they're looking at properties. And we saw this back, I think it was up September 12th, sometime middle September. Rates did drop below 6. And we saw a big spike in activity and a big spike in pendings during that time. Mm-hmm. So I do suspect that if we dip below 6 at any point in the next few weeks, I think we're going to see even a bigger spike than what we're seeing right now.
Yeah. But what about the inventory levels? Okay. So, I always think it's like, okay, interest rates went up, buyer demand went down, inventory stayed flat.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates come back down a little bit. Activity goes up. What's happening to the inventory right now?
It's going down.
Okay. This is just like economics 101, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like interest rates come down. The interest rates, another way to say that, the cost of borrowing money came down. So the buyers don't have to spend as much money borrowing money, so they get more active. Sellers haven't really started dumping their property on the market at a fast enough pace. It's contrary to that. The additional activity with the buyers is making the supply go down. Now, I think what a lot of people are wondering, does that mean prices are going to go up again? And I really don't know how to answer that question, Abe. I don't even know if you dare to answer that one. But I think one of the challenges is the affordability gap. There is a point where they keep going up and then demand goes down because it's not affordable. Have you seen any news or any comments about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to predict. A lot of it is going to be a function of the inventory, and
Yeah.
the what's really interesting about inventory going down right now is this is the time of year where it's supposed to be going up.
Yes.
Right. As we get into spring, we should see inventory start to grow, and for it to go down right now was a little bit surprising for me. I have seen a couple of cases, especially on the condo side, where prices are better now than they were, say in October.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but that's not across the board. It's not something we're seeing across the board. If inventory does continue to go down, okay, and interest rates go down with it, which brings in more buyers, I would not be surprised if we saw prices start to kind of creep back up a little bit.
Sure.
But it's so hard to predict. It's way too early to kind of make that prediction.
Yeah, I do know one thing, that if I was on the fence of selling, I would be on the market again. This would be the same thing that we would have told somebody a while back, where inventory is going down and activity is going up, buyer activity is going up. That's when you want to be on the market. That's when you want to be in the market, is because you want to take advantage of the low supply, high demand. And so if any of you are on the fence thinking about selling, or just need to know where are prices today for your particular property, please reach out to us. Now, when we talk about inventory going down, I think it was at a low point for residential homes or single family homes. It was probably around 1 month supply. Did it ever get under 1 month supply?
Yeah, I think for single family homes, it got just below a month.
Yes.
And for condos, it was 0.6 of a month. So that's what, 3 weeks?
Yes. Okay. Wow. And then it went back up to over 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so now it's just, where was the height in the last couple of months?
2.4 months supply on the single family homes. And again, this is just resales. This is not counting new construction.
Yes.
And then 2.2 months for condos.
Okay. And now what we're seeing is it's just coming a little bit off the high. So we don't want the audience to think that, okay, there's 50% less inventory. It's not like that. It's not all the way down to 1 month. But what we're looking at is a trend line. So, it went down, went up just a little bit, and then it just kind of settled down a little bit again. I'm anticipating it'll go down a little bit more, but I think at some point, some of the sellers that were worried that they couldn't buy something, below a 7% interest, I think some of the sellers now are going to have an opportunity to sell at a high price and then buy their next property at a lower interest rate. So we may see some supply come on to that, but it won't be enough supply to crash the market by any means. I'm hearing a lot of people, Abe, talk about foreclosures. Are you hearing anything about foreclosures? Because I heard that there's more of them, like foreclosure REO agents, which we have some in our offices. I'm hearing them say that they have been getting more BPO requests, which is broker price opinion requests. But have you seen anything about the threat of foreclosures going up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, if you watch the news, you're going to see high percentages. So when you see, okay, foreclosures up 60%, 90%, whatever, that's out there. It's happening. But you have to put it into context. It's up 60% and 90% from what?
Exactly.
It was so low, like it was non-existent. And yes, it went up, but it's still relatively, if historically, if you look at what the average is, over the last 10, 15, 20 years, it's nowhere near what the national average has been.
Yes.
So it's still a little bleep on the radar. Nothing,
Yes.
nothing, at least at this point, that's concerning.
Yes. And in my opinion, and what I've read also is that even with that being said, let's not forget there was a moratorium through COVID on foreclosures. So there were banks that by law were forbidden to foreclose on people. And so some of the things that are coming out in the foreclosure are things that are from 2 years ago that they had kind of like pent up, or these are forbearance situations where I know people like that were in forbearance. They had their a lot of their payments lowered, or they were forgiven, or they were, they thought they were forgiven. They weren't forgiven. They were tacked on to the end of their loan. But I do know people are starting to get notifications from their bank that the forbearance process has expired, and now they've got to make double payments to catch back up for the lack of making some payments, and that's causing them to have to sell. But even in that scenario, they have so much equity, they're going to be able to sell, get out of that forbearance situation, and then just reset their mortgage with at today's interest rate. So I again, for those of you, if you're an investor out there and you're thinking there's going to be a whole boatload of REOs and foreclosures, there's probably not going to be that much. And with the demand and supply, or the supply being so low, as soon as they come on the market, they're going to be selling for full price or over, just like the rest of the properties in the on the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much equity in those properties. It's not going to be it's a non-issue at this point.
Yes.
But I will. You said something about sellers if they wanted to sell to get back on the market or get on the market right now. I 100% agree. If of course, it has to make sense for you, right? We're not saying that everybody should sell. By no means are we saying that. But if you've been thinking about selling and it's part of your plans, this is the time to get back on the market. Especially, call us and find out what your competition is. So if you've got a condo and there's no competition, like Beach Colony right now, there's nothing for sale in Beach Colony. Right. So if there's 1-2 bedroom in the entire resort that's for sale. Yeah. So, if you've got a Beach Colony unit, you've been thinking about selling, and there's countless different buildings around town right now, and home communities as well, where there's no competition. This is a really good time because buyers are here. Our spring buyers that are going to be putting stuff under contract and closing March, April, they're already on our websites looking. As a matter of fact, I checked our Google Trends this morning, and real estate searches are up 34% this month.
Yes.
From what they were, last month, and definitely up from what they were in October, November when it bottomed out. Yeah. So the buyers are back in the game. They're looking, and as interest rates continue to creep down, we're going to see more and more of those buyers getting in the game.
Yeah. When I was talking to some Zillow representatives, earlier around the holidays, before the new year, they said anticipate a 37% uptick in traffic on websites for real estate searching. So we're already getting there. And so the first quarter, they said we should see a 37% increase. So it's good to see that we're validating those numbers. And it makes sense. We're seeing more traffic on the websites. We're getting more calls. We're showing more property. We're writing more contracts. And we're closing more transactions right now. So that's kind of like the dominoes, the different dominoes through the process. So if any of you are thinking about selling, please contact Abe or I. We're both very capable of helping you. But more important is we got our finger on the pulse of the market, so we can really guide you, protect your equity, help you accomplish your goals. Here's our contact information right at the bottom. Well, Abe, I think that's a wrap for today. Thank you again for joining me. And for the rest of you, we'll talk to you in a week.
Yeah, thank you all for watching.
Bye-bye.